Greetings everybody, welcome to G4G on YouTube. Today we're going to be talking about some updated tier lists for Marvel Strike Force. Today's background music is brought to you by Spell the Moon, a synthwave mix here on YouTube from Synthwave Gems. A link will be in the description. Not too sure if any of you guys have seen the old movie Prince of Darkness, but it kind of reminds me a lot of John Carpenter's music that he did from Prince of Darkness. As you well know, if you're a horror fan, John Carpenter certainly had a certain trend in his music, and you didn't necessarily hear it in Halloween, but in some of the non-Halloween movies that he did, it was certainly there, and this has got a very 80s retro feel to it. So, as you can see here, we're on the Immigrants, and we're taking a look at a updated tier list, and I also have another source for you that we are going to dive into. So the first tier list we're going to take a look at is from Casino. This one was uploaded 19 days ago, so it's the beginning of May, and this is recorded on May 21st, so it's mostly up to date. It's got a lot of the newer characters. So Arena Offense and Blitz. So as you know, Blitz is of course only offense. And Arena, you have your offensive team and you have your defensive team, and that'll be another category in just a moment. So according to Casino, his god tier is Black Widow, Black Panther, Captain America, Doctor Strange, Gamora, Hawkeye, Kingpin, Quake, and Yondu. I must say that I find it a little odd to see some characters up here. Kingpin strikes me as a little odd for God tier, as does Black Panther. A lot of people have said Gamora just simply does what Black Panther does, but better. And that's mostly because when his offer came out several weeks ago, the discussion was, okay, yeah, sure, you can drop $25, $50, $100, $1,000 million to get Black Panther, but then you couldn't farm him. So you had a tune that would eventually get outclassed, especially when Gamora occupies that slot. And Gamora is, of course, farmable. Now, if this was another unobtainable person, like, say, a Black Widow or something, then it's a different story. But Doc Strange I haven't run into enough to pass judgment, but I largely agree with the God tier, except for Black Panther. And Hawkeye, of course, is pretty good, but you don't see him much in Arena, mostly because you don't see him on defense. So I can't really pass judgment on him for Arena offense, but we do know he likes to clear buffs and everything, so he's pretty solid. The Demigod status, we have Crossbones, Daredevil, Drax, one of the hand units, Iron Man, not Ronin, that's Korath over there, one of the Mercenary units, Nick Fury, Rocket Raccoon, Star-Lord, Ultimus, Ultron, and of course Winter Soldier. Winter Soldier, I believe, is occasionally flirted with the high end of Demigod tier, but I haven't heard as much of him lately. You'll notice Crossbones has a bit of a highlight on him, and that highlight is can improve by one tier with synergies and or team comp. I kind of feel that that is true of Drax too, because the highlight should be on Drax and Crossbones together. A lot of people use Drax with the auto taunt in the first round to take some heat off of Crossbones and allow him to get working, especially on defense. Now, you often see it with Luke Cage, but as we all know, Luke Cage does not start with a taunt, nor does he taunt in the first round. So, unfortunately, that leaves Crossbones vulnerable to get his ass beat. A lot of people outspeed Crossbones and get the hits on him before he even taunts, and then his counter really doesn't mean a hell of a lot at that point. It doesn't do a ridiculous amount of damage, and if you run a Black Widow, you tend to clear a lot of his buffs anyway. So Daredevil is a minor highlight for me because his opening attack is probably one of the best first round attacks I think I've ever seen. He does phenomenal damage on that. However, and he is relatively hardy, but it's that very first hit that he puts out that is just absolutely ridiculous. Rocket and Iron Man, you do see a lot more of Rocket than Iron Man, but they're both late game AoEers. If you let a Rocket go deep into the fight unchecked, you're probably in a lot of trouble. Over at the usable tier, we have Bullseye, Elektra, who has definitely fallen from grace during the beta years. We have the Hand Sork, we have a couple of Hand and Mercenary units there. We have Hulk, we have some Hydra units. We have Jessica, who gives a fuck. We have one of the Kree units. We have a bunch of Kree units. We have what looks like Loki, Luke Cage, Mercenary unit, Mordo, Nebula, Night Nurse, Nobu, Punisher, Red Skull, a Ravager unit. We have the Shield support character, Spider-Man, Thanos, Thor, Vision, and Wolverine. Wolverine is an unfortunate thing to be in the usable tier. A lot of people were like, oh my god, it's Wolverine. I need to dump a lot into him. He's going to be good. And people have expressed disappointment in Wolverine. He almost sometimes flirts with the mediocre tier. He's solid, and if he is allowed to get off his big hitting third action, he can put a lot of damage, and he can res. But unless he reses when your team happens to be very low or not have a lot of characters left, his res is probably not going to mean anything as he just gets shot down. Vision, I don't really know about yet. Thor, it's very rare you see him, but he's considered good AoE. And you notice a lot of the usable tier, more than any, has the highlight that they can be bumped up. Hulk can kind of border on Demigod, but I think he only borders on Demigod at the lower tiers of Blitz. And I like to use him on my secondary Blitz team where it's him and Quake doing just tons of AoE along with Crossbones. They're a deep AoE team, and generally when the three... Well, I don't use them anymore, but I did it as a deep 3 AoE, and honestly, when all three of them get their AoEs off back to back to back, it is pretty brutal. I find it sad to see Night Nurse in here, but that's actually a topic for another video, and that is, do you believe in healing when it comes to Arena? I'm probably the only one that I've run into that actually believes in bringing a little bit of support to offense. Everybody just likes raw damage, but I feel that several of my Arena and Blitz wins have come off of the fact that I've kept my people alive a little bit. Mediocre is a bunch of AIM units, a bunch of Hydra units, Groot, who is got the synergy to go up a rank, Iron Fist, which sadly, if you're an MAA fan, it is very, very sad to see Iron Fist be that trash. We have the Ravager Bruiser, the Stitcher, and some Mercenary and Kree units, and then trash, we have the Medic, formerly of the commercial with Drax. We have some Hydra units and some AIM units. We have Ronin, who is largely considered trash, Scientist Supreme, and a lot of shield units. Now, I had my shield medic definitely up at the usable tier at one point, but she has been replaced with Night Nurse, but again, that is a topic for a different video that I want to do. Moving on, we have the campaign and raid list where things do change a little bit. Mostly Night Nurse jacks up extremely far. Iron Man moves up, but the God tier stays the same. Drax moves up, probably because of his pre-taunts. Demigod, Hawkeye drops down, however can be improved with the right comp. Now the one highlight that we want to talk about here is that this shield unit is God tier for escort and campaign missions. And we all know what she's capable of. She's certainly very good. Crossbones is here, Demigod, along with Daredevil. Luke is over here, Korath, Nick Fury, Thanos moves up a little bit, Rocket and Star-Lord are there, Winter Soldier still hanging steady. Usable tier is largely the same, except Iron Fist moves up, fuck Jessica Jones. We've got some Kree and Mercenary units, Loki, Mordo, Nebula, Punisher, Red Skull, Nobu's there, Spider-Man is there, Thor, Ultimus, Vision, Wolverine. Poor Spidey, he's often classified as usable everywhere you find him, but he's excessively used in the lower tiers of Arena and Blitz, or more Blitz than Arena, but most people like to complain that Spider-Man is has ridiculous luck when run by the AI, and that was always a common issue in Marvel Avengers Alliance, that everybody believes the AI gets overtuned slightly to make up for the fact that it's not actually piloted by a human brain. It is certainly possible to watch Spider-Man do the ability where he chains 3 attacks together and everything, and he puts defensive down on all 3, and it is certainly a... If it was a console, that's a controller-flinging moment when you see that. Plus, he has heavy dodges, so if you consider him a high-priority threat, you can sometimes waste a lot of attacks trying to get rid of him. But, you know, this is Raid, and that kind of a scenario means far less in Raids. Mediocre, again, Monstrosity, Hydra units, AIM units, Groot is there. Shield Medic comes out of the trash tier a little bit. And then trash is still pretty much the same, with Ronan always being in trash tier. And then finally, you have your Arena defense. God tier sees Black Widow and Captain America stay put. It sees Kingpin stay put along with Quake. And we have Doctor Strange and Hawkeye. Now, remember, Arena defense doesn't necessarily have to be killers. They have to be delayers. Now, unfortunately, Arena defense puts people in 2 very different things over here. If you run a stall team, what you would have seen in Marvel Avengers Alliance era of like rescue and highly defensive and supportive agents and everything like that, that were designed to slow your defenses on the last day of PvP. When you run stall comp, you're sort of kind of in a way being a dick, because if people are trying to do dailies, the daily is to complete the arena match. Even if you get down to like Luke Cage being the only thing left and you have every team member, you are considered not meeting the daily requirements. And if you're trying to do daily arenas, you don't actually get credit for it. I found that out the hard way when I was like, wait a minute, I've done 2 arenas, why do I only have 1? And I realized one of them was one that I won, and another one was one that I simply didn't beat the timer. That kind of sucks, because you don't even get credit for doing it. Like, it's okay if you don't get the rank down, or the, you know, the forward progression and everything like that. I dislike the fact that you don't get credit for the daily. And I understand what they're doing. They're trying to protect themselves by you picking an arena match and then going AFK until the timer comes out and you're like, yay, I did my 2. I wish they were able to detect that better, because I really dislike that. And it's almost to the point where losing the arena is the better thing to do if you find out you're not going to meet the timer. So in a lot of games, people are cool and don't try and jack you up by running stall teams that blow up timers, but by the same token, your defense protects your interest in this game, so you're caught between a rock and a hard place. So unfortunately, one of the best things you can do as an arena defense team is run stall. And Captain America is good for that. Black Widow is good. Kingpin with his more defensive up and his taunting minions and everything is really good. And of course, Quake with the slows just means that your team simply won't necessarily kill somebody, but they'll stall them out long enough. Demigod tier, Crossbones Drax, Iron Man, Nick Fury, Rocket, Star-Lord, Ultron, Yondu. I think Yondu should have a highlight here and could potentially be pushed into the God tier, because when you see Yondu, you're really afraid of him and you want to get to him pretty quick, and if he's well protected by tanks, it's going to be annoying because, let's face it, Yondu's AoE with its buff removal and everything is pretty intimidating, and I try to avoid Yondu matches if I can. I always try to avoid double tanks, especially if one of them's Crossbones. But in Arena, I really try to avoid the tanks, and I would honestly avoid Yondu if I could. Crossbones having the highlight is to be expected. You can almost put him between the border of God and Demigod anyway. Just not even give him the highlight, just let him straddle the line. Usable, Black Panther, Bullseye, Daredevil, Elektra. Gamora drops because she's not AI controlled, and again, she drops because what you want to do is delay, not necessarily kill. Gamora's a killer, straight and simple. She doesn't run any delays at all, so she drops down a little bit. Luke has got a highlight along with Jessica because she provides energy. We have Mercenary units, Mordo, Nebula, Night Nurse, who is, you know, pretty intimidating on if she's on the field. You know she's going to have that big heal later on in the map or the match with the regeneration and everything. So if she's well protected, she just can keep the team up. Spider-Man, shield support, Thanos, Thor. Thanos, a lot of people say, is squishy and is not a primary tank but an off tank. Vision, Ultimus Wolverine, mediocre is what you would expect. Hulk drops to mediocre, unfortunately, which I don't necessarily think is fair. I think he can come up into usable because he does speed up and he does provide a taunt and he does provide a big AoE and he tends to be kind of healthy. So again, I think he can come up to mediocre, or come up out of mediocre just in general, and the highlight can maybe push him in the Demigod, but that's if you're running a lot of tanks. And of course trash tiers is trash, as you would expect. So again, that's from Casino, who is on Twitch. So now the Reddit linked, well these are both Reddit linked one, but the actual spreadsheet was updated too, and that was updated on May 19th. So this one's even more up to date. So let us go over to the PvP areas first. Arena offense, Drax, that's a set it and forget it. His pre-taunt lets everybody get set. Captain America can choose to dispel and to taunt off a Drax if you're running double tank, which I don't like really. On offense, your job is to kill, not taunt and protect. However, if you have somebody who's deep AoE, like an Iron Man or a Rocket, you probably just want to set that person up. Thanos is B tier because of the huge health pool and drain. Kingpin's a little too defensive for offense, hand sentry, and then you get into shit tiers of Luke and Hulk. Needs speed up to excel, so he's good with Black Widow. That's part of his synergy. But yeah, on offense he's definitely low tier. Controllers, Black Widow of course, Quake good, Hawkeye okay damage but great dispels blind and removes stealth, which is very handy. Vision, which I don't know as well. Nobu is up there, and then you have shit tier with Jessica and Ronan. This dude sucks, team dependent with Korea, love that one. Blasters, Iron Man, hide behind Cap, amazing with great AoE. He's your deep AoE guy. Rocket Raccoon, kind of the same thing. Teams up very well with Groot. Cable's up there. And then you get into the more crap tiers of Thor, Winter Soldier, Korath, and then the super shit tiers of Bullseye, Punisher, Mercenary, Sniper. Support, Yondu, S tier class, of course. Yondu is everywhere for that. Doctor Strange at B, not A. Great utility, a little bit more control than a straight healer. Night Nurse, of course, this is again, this is a topic for another video. She's C tier, but you know, that's the topic of whether or not healers belong on offense. Mercenary Lieutenants, poor man's Black Widow. Sork, Operative, and Medic suck. Brawlers, of course, Gamora. Ultimus has a much higher ranking here than anywhere else. Gamora, I just love because I love setting Gamora up for the mega kills and the chains. Deadpool, he is very good, of course, against minions, but not really a lot of people run minion teams. But he is able to get around a taunt and kill a squishy, so he's very good if somebody stepped in front of a Crossbones who's about ready to blow up and you want to deal with it. Black Panther, passive speed resets, but doesn't have Gamora's burst. We've definitely talked about that. Wolverine here is an A tier. He probably could be a B. The self-healing is good. He's considered slow. Daredevil and Elektra are B. I think Daredevil can come up a little bit to A for the mega hitting first attack. And he kind of rules the lower tiers of Blitz and everything. Hand Blade Master Spider-Man is dumped on his head as a C. But he does have that good stun. But then again, Black Widow does that too. Nebula and Iron Fist are trash tier. For your defense, Drax is high. Thanos is high here, which is unusual. Captain America takes a dip on this one into A. Hulk comes up to a B. Kingpin is only a B. On this one, Luke is C. But we know, honestly, he's part of any good delay tactic. But you have to account for the fact that he's not going to taunt until the second round. Controllers, Black Widow, of course, belongs up there. We all know that. Hawkeye, Quake. Quake should probably be an A-S border, and Hawkeye should be a more solid A than bordering on A and S. Vision, Nobu, Shitty Jessica, and then Ronan. Just, we're not even going to bother mentioning Ronan's name. Your blasters, Iron Man is S, and then Rocket Raccoon is A. He's kind of a poor man's Iron Man. Thor, Cable, Winter Soldier, Korath, Punisher, Bullseye, Mercenary, Sniper. Support, there's Yondu as S, even on defense. We've talked about that. Nick Fury, then Doctor Strange is C. Mercenary Lieutenant, Night Nurse, again, conversation for a different video. Brawlers, Deadpool is S. May gain minion bonuses with Kingpin and Yondu. The AI can't mess up the third skill plus sustain. Interesting. Here's somebody really pushing Deadpool for defense. Haven't run into it yet. Ultimus. Haven't run into Gamora. He's saying not as good on D. The AI can't combo, which is certainly true, but he still has her at an A. The other one has her as an AB border. Conceivable, but you know, she still can do good damage. But again, if you're running delay teams, why bother with Gamora? Wolverine on a delay team actually is considered better than Gamora because he's harder to take down. Spider-Man is a B here, so finally gets a little bit of love. Black Panther, then the shitty tiers of Nebula, Daredevil, Elektra, Blade Master, Iron Fist. Honestly, somebody who stealths as much as Elektra belongs a little bit higher if you're just running teams that want to survive rather than actually kill on defense. And then on raids, we're going to finish with PvE. We have Captain America. For your protector is A, of course. Drax, same reasons as before. Thanos, Kingpin, and then you drop to Crossbones. Crossbones belongs as an A if it is a fight with a lot of minions that are just weak. And you're bringing a healer that can get his health back up after his Allahu Akbar detonation. Luke is definitely trash in PvE. I certainly agree with that. Hulk, however, is a little bit better because, again, a little bit of an off tank and the speed up. Certainly good with Black Widow. and can do good AoE and everything. Controller's Quake because she slows everything down and she just does so much AoE. Black Widow because of the speed and a stun when you need it, which certain fights definitely need the stun. Hawkeye, and then you drop for Vision, Nobu, and Shitty Jessica. Ronin is trash tier everywhere. We should be skipping them. We said we were. And then a whole bunch of to be determines. Rocket Raccoon and Iron Man make up the bulk of just buckets of AoE. Not everybody's going to have Iron Man, but Rocket's a little more accessible for people. Then you have Thor, Winter Soldier, Punisher, Korath and Bullseye, and Mercenary Sniper in the shit tiers. For support, Yondu, he's god everywhere. Night Nurse is super good because it just means you don't have to run your heals as much after on raids, and you're not spending for it. Doctor Strange, and then there's no B tier here, and you run right into trash of Mercenary, Shield Ops, and Hand Sorks. Although, defense up in the raids, not too bad. It's a shield medic. He can heal, which helps, right? Gamora for the clear and the multiple waves. Certainly Deadpool is amazing in raids with minions. Ultimus and Wolverine, and then you drop for Black Panther, Daredevil. Nebula, Spider-Man, Elektra, Hand Blade Master, and Trash Fist. Poor Trash Fist. And this one has a change log at the very end of moving Black Widow up, Nobu down. Cable moves around and gets added. Arena offense, Thanos dropped, Vision moved up, Cable up, Deadpool up, Arena defense, Vision to B, Cable to B, and added playable heroes not released yet. You can go to msf.gg for that. Mordo, Loki, Red Skull, Star-Lord, Venom, Nick Fury, Groot, and Ultron. So there you go, guys. There are several tier lists that have come out that are updated. The spreadsheet is available from this post here on Reddit, and the Imgur link will be in the description. That one also happened to come from Reddit. I think the two of these, plus my own discussion, can give you kind of a really good idea where people lay, and there are enough differences that for some characters you can't take somebody's word for it. You need to do your own research and your own team-ups to find out if they're good. So that's it for today's tier list. At the end of May, we've just got a couple weeks to go, and then we'll be in June, and we'll see what is happening. And good luck, everybody, on getting your Deadpool. See ya.